Hello there everyone, and welcome to another episode here with Hypnotherapy Training International, and I'm here today with Dr. John Butler.
Hello Idan.
Hello. John. And today, John, if it's possible to talk about the difference between psychotherapy, in particularly counseling, and a straightforward, direct Gilboin style hypnotherapy. A lot of people report they go to therapy and counseling for years. I remember one joke and that somebody interviewed Woody Allen and they asked him, have you been to therapy? And he said, yeah, for 30 years. And the interviewer asked him, has it helped? And he said, after 30 years, it helped a little. And to be in therapy...
He left after more than 40 years, he finally gave up.
Yes. So I know there's a value in counseling. There's certain things that they do. I know you were trained in some of these forms. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about how they're similar, how they're different, but ultimately what is about the subconscious messages or programming that we may have.
Well, again, there's a big area to cover here. We'll keep it very simple. The simplest way to look at the difference is that hypnotherapy deals directly, very directly, with the subconscious contents of the mind and of the problem. In the other therapies, they may talk about the unconscious and speculate about it and look at your dreams and so on. And not all of those therapies, of course, recognize the subconscious or unconscious. They sometimes say it doesn't exist, but some of them do. But then it's very
good
indirect.
Ones recognize it.
Well, the ones that are likely to deal with the deeper issues when they're there. I mean, some problems, of course, have a very light basis to their existence. In other words, the person has picked up the bad habit from somewhere along the line, maybe picking it up, copying somebody else, a child modeling it on an older sibling, but it might not have any very deep emotional content. So that can be fixed by any therapy almost in 1 or 2 sessions. The trouble is, when you have more deep embedded feelings that the person has about themselves that are self-destructive, that impinge on their self-belief, their self-acceptance, self-love, those are very core to our being, and they're much harder to shift. And for good reason. That if you are able to change your core beliefs all the time very easily, you'll be very unstable by definition. You wouldn't have much control because it would be so open to control at any one point. Not only by yourself, but maybe by other forces, other people. So we are protective of that self-image, and very often it's been given to us by parents. So we have a kind of loyalty and a belief in it that goes right back. We're bonded to our parents, to a group, a culture, and so the impressions, the imprints are there very deeply. To change those needs some powerful therapy. Hypnotherapy gets to the deeper roots of the issues, and I believe there are roots. Sometimes people say, well, roots is not the right way to think of these problems. Well, when they're very deeply buried, they're in your neural circuits. And in the emotional areas of the brain, they do not easily respond to logical thinking. Logical thinking, rational analysis has its place in therapy. I often say it's about 10% of the therapy for most problems. Sometimes the problem will disappear once a person looks at it in a better, more logical, more cognitively appropriate way. But very often it doesn't yield to that kind of thinking. So we often say that the intellect is a very weak tool for dealing with those deeper issues. And you've heard me say many times in classes, when a person comes to stop smoking, they all say the same thing, including doctors who smoke. How terrible it is for your lungs and your heart and immune system and various systems in your body. And it's very stupid and self-destructive and they shouldn't do it. And that is just simply the intellect chattering on about it. The emotional mind is telling them, chill out, relax, have a cigarette, you'll feel good, go on, you'll feel much better. And so as long as that feeling is there, feeling is far stronger than the intellect in the longer run. It has the power of imagination, of belief associated with it as well, because the belief is feeling based. The belief that I can't cope very well without a cigarette. And I've given up 10 times before and I felt terrible. So you can see how it has deep emotional content that is based in the subconscious emotional mind, and You can talk forever about how harmful tobacco is to you, including doctors who've died from smoking. They knew it, they talked to themselves. That didn't change it. And that happens with obesity, with many problems where the emotional component needs to be addressed powerfully. Hypnosis gives us that power. We often say, or I said at least several times when asked, can I summarize the difference between hypnotherapy and psychotherapy in a nutshell? I said, think of an example even at the beginning of the therapy when the client is asked about their relationship with the authority figures in life. For example, the parent, how'd you get on with your mother? And they'll say, well, it's not too bad now. We get on better now. I think we both matured. But when I was younger, it was very difficult. I often felt she was too critical and she favoured my sister more than me. And in my teens, of course, we really clashed. Oh, it was. But that's the way they're talking. Now, you've seen them in the therapy. When you induce a trance, whether even on that first session, which we wouldn't really usually go into all that deep material on that first session, but let's say 2 minutes after you've induced trance and you ask them, tell me about your mother. Now come the tears and the anger. I love you, I hate you, you stupid bitch, you stupid cow. And they're screaming even.
Yeah.
Now, there's the difference. Hypnosis reduces the psychic defenses to get into where the problem really is. And instead of talking for years in therapy about, if only my mother had loved me more, I feel better about myself. I have more confidence. And I feel I deserve better. I'll be making better choices in my relationships with men or women. Or you see, they're talking and talking, and they'll tell you, well, the therapy has helped me gain insight. And that makes sense. Yeah, I'm more aware now of my mother's influence. I've got now maybe more theories, and that becomes a problem too, because which theory is right? You have 600 forms of psychotherapy. In a book I have from the 80s, you can multiply that by a lot more forms of therapy now, and they all have their own view of the mind and how problems are formed and resolved and so on. Hypnotherapy does draw on theory from philosophy, psychology, psychiatry, because it's all about the mind, and it has fed into those disciplines. It's helped. It created psychotherapy, because Freud took two ideas from the work of Charcot and other people about the unconscious and early dynamics and so on, which come up all the time anyway, whenever you regress people. So he saw that that was there, and he developed the theories of psychoanalysis. And the rest of the talk therapies are really, in the Western world at least, are coming from that early works of Freud. But of course it goes back long before that in the field of hypnotherapy, over 100 years. And Jung points out that people, mesmerists, animal magnetists, and whatever any other names they called themselves back then, were talking about transference and projections, because when you open the subconscious you find what's really there. And that's what we say, deal with what emerges. Get into the subconscious directly, give good powerful programming. If that takes care of it, fine. It will for about a third of clients, speaking very generally. 2/3 will need deeper work. And you have to know about psychology, about many of the issues that are dealt with in psychotherapy, so that you can understand the family dynamics and help the client separate these entangled concepts about themselves that they picked up. See, that is hypnotherapy, directly dealing with the material to bring integration, closure of a very powerful way. It's not a magic wand, but it's the most powerful and the closest thing we have to a magic wand as a therapy out there.
Incredible. Thank you so much for that. That was, guys, quick. It's a very powerful, very direct, really goes into your programming. So I highly recommend looking into hypnotherapy. I highly recommend looking into Dr. John Butler work at the HDI. Thank you so much for watching. I'll post some more links into Dr. John Butler direct website as well.
Thank you. Thank you.